Criticism is something we all experience at various points in life, regardless of who we are, how talented or accomplished we may be. In fact, it often feels like the better we become, the more people have something to say about us, both good and bad. But how do we deal with these criticisms? What should we do when others do not understand us, or worse, when they misjudge our intentions? In this article, we explore these questions from a Buddhist perspective, weaving in personal reflections on how to handle criticism effectively. Whether we like it or not, no one is immune to criticism. Throughout our lives, we'll encounter people who support us and those who don't, regardless of our actions. Even when we strive to be kind, productive, or successful, there will always be individuals who view us negatively. This can be especially challenging in today's world of social media, where everyone has a platform to share their opinions about you, whether informed or not. How do we navigate this? How do we stay grounded in the face of unfair criticism? The two types of criticism. Criticism can generally be divided into two categories: constructive and negative. Constructive criticism is often well-intentioned, coming from those who genuinely care about our well-being and success. These are the people who want to see us grow, so they offer feedback designed to help us improve. On the other hand, negative criticism usually stems from misunderstanding, jealousy, or even resentment. This type of criticism aims not to build us up, but to tear us down. An example of constructive criticism might be a teacher offering advice to a student on how they can refine their work to achieve a higher level of excellence. The intention behind the criticism is positive. It is meant to help the student succeed. On the flip side, an example of negative criticism could be a coworker who, out of jealousy, belittles your efforts in front of others. This type of criticism serves no useful purpose except to damage your confidence or reputation. Buddhism and criticism. A story of three monks. Buddhism offers many insightful teachings on how to approach criticism. One of the most relevant stories is about three monks who each received criticism despite their different approaches to teaching. The story goes like this. A group of people visited a monastery seeking guidance from the monks. They first approached a monk who lived a very quiet, reclusive life and rarely spoke. When asked to share Buddhist teachings, this monk only said a few words and remained mostly silent. The group, displeased, began to criticize him, saying he didn't know anything. So, the group moved on to a second monk. This monk was very articulate and knowledgeable, explaining the profound and complex teachings of Buddhism in great detail. However, the group again found fault, criticizing him for making things too complicated and difficult to understand. Finally, the group approached a third monk, who explained Buddhist principles in simple, straightforward terms. The group's response? They criticized him for being too simplistic, accusing him of dumbing down the teachings. All three monks, despite their best efforts, were criticized. Confused by the situation, they turned to the Buddha for guidance. Buddha's response was illuminating. No matter how you act, whether you remain silent, speak profoundly, or explain things simply, people will always find something to criticize. Criticism is a natural part of life. The inevitability of criticism. This story carries a powerful message. No matter what you do, there will always be someone who criticizes you. This can be difficult to accept, especially for those of us who are naturally inclined to seek approval or validation from others. But understanding the inevitability of criticism can also be liberating. If you know that you will be criticized regardless of your actions, you can stop seeking external validation and start focusing on staying true to yourself. This is a lesson that resonates deeply in modern life. For instance, many public figures, celebrities, or even everyday people with a significant online presence constantly face judgment. Whether it's for their appearance, their opinions, or their lifestyle choices, criticism seems to follow them no matter what. Yet, those who manage to maintain their peace of mind are the ones who internalize the understanding that pleasing everyone is impossible. The takeaway here is simple. You cannot control other people's reactions, but you can control your own response to their criticism. By accepting that criticism is a natural part of life, you free yourself from the need to satisfy everyone. As long as you are doing something beneficial, ethical, and true to your values, the opinions of others matter less. Dealing with negative criticism. It's easy to brush off constructive criticism because we understand that it comes from a place of support. However, negative criticism can cut deeper. How should we handle it? First, it's important to recognize that negative criticism often says more about the person delivering it than it does about you. When people criticize out of jealousy, anger, or frustration, their comments are usually a reflection of their own insecurities. For example, someone who criticizes your success may be doing so because they are dissatisfied with their own achievements. It's also essential to maintain a healthy perspective. Negative criticism can feel personal, but it's rarely an accurate reflection of who you truly are. A useful strategy is to distance yourself emotionally from the criticism and examine it objectively. Ask yourself, is there any truth to what's being said? If not, you can dismiss it without letting it affect your sense of self-worth. If there is some validity to the critique, use it as an opportunity for self-improvement. A personal example I can offer involves a time when I received criticism for a project I worked on at my job. A colleague dismissed my efforts, saying I had taken the wrong approach and wasted time. Initially, I felt hurt and defensive. However, after reflecting on the situation, I realized that while my colleague's criticism was harsh, there was an element of truth in it. By focusing on the constructive part of the feedback and letting go of the negativity, I was able to make improvements without letting the criticism damage my confidence. Transforming criticism into growth. Rather than fearing criticism, we can choose to see it as an opportunity for growth. By shifting our mindset, we can approach criticism with curiosity rather than defensiveness. This doesn't mean we need to accept every critique blindly, but it does mean we can evaluate it for any useful insights. For instance, let's say you're an artist and someone criticizes your latest painting. Instead of immediately dismissing the critique as a personal attack, you might ask yourself whether there's anything in their feedback that could help you grow as an artist. Is there a technical skill you could improve upon? Could the composition or color palette be refined? In this way, even negative criticism can be transformed into a tool for self-development. Staying true to yourself amidst criticism. The Buddha's advice to the three monks reminds us of an essential truth. Criticism is an inevitable part of life. No matter what we do, someone will always have something to say. Our task, then, is not to avoid criticism but to learn how to navigate it gracefully. When facing criticism, whether constructive or negative, it's important to remember that you cannot control other people's opinions. What you can control is your response. By staying grounded in your values, maintaining a healthy perspective, and using criticism as an opportunity for growth, you can continue to move forward without being weighed down by the judgments of others. In the end, what matters most is not whether you are criticized, but how you respond to it. By embracing criticism as a natural part of life and refusing to let it deter you from your path, you can maintain your peace of mind and continue to grow as an individual.